Sean and Darren from Cloud9 here with you again. Another bite size and more questions coming in. These questions are great. We're getting loads. We're getting loads of questions.
Just hope we can answer some of them.
I'm sure we will. Now, John and Sally are based up in Benavis, actually. We're going to see them next week. And this is another, we thought we'd bring this question into it because they've had their property on the market, I think now for about 6 or 7 months, I believe, struggling to sell. They're not getting viewers. And they've come to us saying, look, could we go round and give them a bit of market appraisal advice, etc. Because, you know, getting that property sold or showcased correctly is vital, isn't it? There's so many different factors to it, though, as well, isn't there?
There are. So the first one I would say is choose your agent carefully, because what you want is an agent who will give you honest advice, not what you maybe want to hear, but just honest advice about your property, where it stands in the market, and what it's likely to be worth. That's gold dust. Maybe get 2 or 3 rounds just to get a flavour for who's telling you the truth and not just after your listing. And then you need to ask them, okay, how are they going to market your property? Where are they going to advertise it? Are they going to share it with agents? Because not everybody does. So are they on all the agents' portals? Will they give visibility of your property to those other agents? Because look, 70% of the deals that we do on the Costa del Sol are split with other agents. So we might have the perfect property, but we might not have the perfect buyer, whereas somebody down the road might have that perfect buyer. So we need to be collaborative. What we tend to do at Cloud9 is we tend to offer incentives for other agents so that the commission splits are in their favor, and all those things matter. And then once you've chosen an agent, you need to make sure that the pricing is correct. And there's an old sort of saying in this market that if your property is not getting any viewings, it's because the price is wrong. If you're getting viewings but no offers, it's because there's something wrong with the property. And that's normally pretty true. So first of all, you've got to make sure that you're in the right price benchmark, because if you're not, people will see that there's better options elsewhere within the same urbanization or the same area. And very often agents, again, this is where it comes down to who to believe, because agents will just take your listing on. They'll say, yeah, you can get 100,000 more for that if you list it with us. Very often it's just to get the listing on board, and then they'll phone you in 3 months' time saying, "Oh, can we lower the price?" So sometimes it's a bit false the way that people do things. And then if the price is right, but you're getting viewings but you're not getting offers, it's because there's something maybe not quite right inside the property or even outside the property. And it may be that it's the photos that the agent's taken. It may just be the quality of those. I see a lot of stuff sent to me every day, price increases, price rises, price discounts. And I'm always quite horrified by the amount of photos that look awful. They're not a true representation, I'm sure, of the property. And very often the agents will use a lead photo that is like the inside of a bathroom. And you're like, well, agents and clients who are looking on the portals at home will look at these properties, they'll look at the first picture and decide if they're going to flick through the other pictures.
Speaking of I saw one the other day, I think I showed it to you and we had a Google. It was a bathroom photo, and it had the picture of the guy or the girl taking the photo in the mirror in the bathroom. And it's like...
We've all done that.
It's getting it done right, isn't it? It's just...
And you know what, it doesn't cost a lot of money, and most agents will do it free of charge. They'll just get a professional photographer around to take some shots, and we get the shots delivered back to us, and then we choose which ones we don't want, which ones we do want to showcase, and then we order them so that there's a story. And very often, the first 5 photos should tell the story of the property. But some agents don't know that. So some agents will just put them on as they've downloaded them from their iPhone.
It's got to be it's a tour, isn't it? It's to get you around. But one thing I've noticed that Cloud9 we always do really well, which I've learned certainly over the last few weeks, months, is the fact that all of the team, if they're hosting a viewing, or we've got the keys for the property, we will make sure that we get to that property with half an hour, 20 minutes to spare to open up the Persianas, the wreckers, the curtains, and put some furniture outside if it needs it, because there's nothing worse, is there, showing up to a property and the agent's there and putting lights on and running around and opening curtains, because it's the first impression, isn't it? So if that's not happening, it's not going to sell either, is it?
I can tell you now that if that's the case, if you're going around, turning the alarm off, turn the lights on, blinds, all that, the client's not going to buy that property. There's a reason that show homes on developments and show villas sell, and it's because you walk in and you go, "Ooh, this is a bit of me." It's because it's depersonalized. There's no one's wedding photos above the fireplace. There's no kids' toys. There's no dogs sniffing at you. It's a blank canvas. can be quite sterile, but people can then imagine putting their stamp on that property. And that's the reason show homes sell. And it's a similar scenario. You know, you've got to think, okay, you might have the most beautiful villa or apartment, but you are competing with a lot of stock, and you are competing with agents who know what they're doing, who will go in and freshen that property up and yours will look stale. And you're competing with show homes on new developments. And unless you invest a little bit of time, money and effort into, you know, it might be something like just replacing an old tatty sofa that the cat's been at, or repainting the outside of the property. It might cost you, I don't know, it might cost you a couple of €1,000, but I guarantee that you'll get that money back. Because what people want in a second home buyer market is they want to walk in and almost not bother. So if it has been freshly painted, if the furniture is in good condition, if everything is ready to roll and they can just wheel their suitcases in, they're far more likely to pay the price that you want if that is done by you.
And even buy the furniture as well.
Buy the furniture. Honestly, I mean, you know, I've bought several properties and staged them and sold them on and always got the price that I wanted.
Do you know, it's really interesting because there's a couple of villas out there at the moment, to mention any particular names, but beautiful villas. But there's no furniture in them. They're quite sterile. And you could always have that, well, I can imagine this, imagine that. But it's sometimes nice to be shown what it could look like. And that's where staging comes in as well. So if you've got a big villa, it's just not selling, there's probably reasons. If it's empty, that's probably one of the big reasons, isn't it? And to get some furniture in, I mean, there's some great interior design companies, Marbella Interiors, etc., that can help with all of that as well.
Absolutely. In fact, Marbella Interiors have just done a project in Los Flamingos where we've, you know, the owners have spent some money on the furniture, but it's good quality stuff, and they're launching that product back to the market, having developed it. Launching that product back to the market, and you know, I'm sure they'll get a great price for it because it looks sensational, and they have done exactly the right thing. They've got it professionally photographed and videoed, and it looks like something you find in a glossy brochure. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, there are some videos that can just about get away with not being furnished, but you've got to be really careful because everything else has to be perfect. If you've got a property, for instance, that doesn't have the view that people want, or maybe has a dodgy neighbour or something like that, you've got to do everything you can. And a lot of people think that, oh, I don't want to spend 20,000 on furniture. And sometimes I shake them and say, yeah, but by spending 20,000, you're going to get 50,000 back. Exactly. And I know that it's an extra 20,000, but honestly, in a competitive market where it's dependent on photographs, it's dependent on video output, these things are really, really important.
So the big takeaways out of this then, the key points, what are we looking at? Number one,
choose the right agent, get the pricing right. Make sure that the marketing material that the agent is using is spot on and represents your property in its best light. So make sure the photos are right, make sure the videos are good, and take a bit of time and take a bit of effort to get it staged and to make it look its best. You'd probably do it at home on your permanent residence. Why not do it here? It's the same thing, same principles apply. Yeah. And it's a competitive market, so just get it done.
Brilliant. John and Sally will be up to see you very soon, and looking forward to that.
But you can't wait.
Yeah, change everything. Change the lot. No, honestly, we'll give you our honest opinions, of course, there. But thanks again for joining us on another Bite Size. Keep those questions coming in from Sean and myself from Cloud9. Catch you next time. Great. Yeah.
I'm going to my next meeting now. And oh, you're nosy, aren't you?
Okay. Is it a good next meeting?
Yeah, it is a good next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I've given you my bad mood, and I'm going to give the next person my good mood.